Hey everybody, it is Sunday morning and time to do a little bit more gardening here. I bought a few plants, so I want to get them in the ground before I leave on my next business trip. So, it's hard to garden when you're not always home, so you got to get things in and then rely on the family to hopefully keep it going, or your automated gardening system and irrigation. So anyways, I'm going to show you what we're doing today, and I think the weather's going to be warm now. Time to take that plastic off and see what's underneath there, see what might or might not have survived. Lesson's going to be learned, so stay with us and we'll show you what's happening. Okay, so as the beds get prepared, we are starting to put things in. So again, we put the herbs in here, and I also got some straw, so I'm going to put that around there to start keeping the ground moist and the ground from drying out. But I've got about 12 broccolinis. Instead of trying to grow a big broccoli head and you just get that one big head, I kind of like the broccolini, which is a little bit thinner and longer. Broccoli robs, I guess some people call it. But anyways, they had it at the big box store. They had it at Lowe's, so I figured, well, you know what, let me get that, stick it in the ground here and see if we can't grow that. Basically it's a cool weather crop, so something like this should take really 2 months, probably max 3 months. Then we pull it up and eat it, and then it'll get too hot for these type of things probably, and then we'll just put more herbs and replace it. So as you pull stuff out, you put stuff back in. But anyways, I put that in the ground just to show you that we're kind of adding here into the beds. And again, it's a big experiment, so we'll see how those do. The watering setup there. Of course, the cauliflower and Brussels sprouts look like they're holding, taken in my cloth container from last year. I had carrots and radishes in there that didn't do too bad. So now I bought a couple things and dropped them in there. We'll see how they do. But for the big thing now, as we come over here, what survived in the plastic? Here's my hoops that I'll put over on these sides, but time to take this off and see what's in here. So let me start pulling things off. The last frost here in North Texas is March 15th, and the next 2 weeks the weather doesn't look like it's going to be cold at all, so I think we can pull things out. Now, one of the things that we had in here last year was, instead of putting it in the garage, we had our pineapple plant. Now, pineapple plants tropical, you can't grow pineapple in Texas, but because we were keeping it warm in the garage, it kind of stayed green. Don't know if we'll ever get any pineapples, but the plants seem to grow good, and maybe we will. So I don't know if they survive this year or not. So all right, moving these off. And now we're going to have to move some of these bricks off. So let me put down the camera and get some of this out of the way. Okay, folks, the tarp is off. I kind of feel like spring training baseball season, pulling those tarps off. They're good. I'll use them again. Just kind of hard to fold them up when they're so long, and plus there's water collected there and stuff like that. So you can see, we do real gardening here, people, because I'm all dirty. You don't see a lot of those other shows. I never saw Roger Swing get all muddy on TV. They're always so sanitary on those TV gardeners, but we're doing real work here, folks. Okay, the big reveal. What's living? What's dying? What's we don't know. Of course, this is the fig tree. The fig tree I didn't have to cover. It will withstand the colds here. It can handle that. Now, it's in a container, which did good on my first year when I planted it last year, and looks pretty good. So as soon as it warms up a little bit more, that may start to sprout. I might plant the fig tree in the ground because I can, but we'll see with the container. We'll see what this year does, see how much bigger it gets. Now, two things that will probably start to kick off is the moringa. Last year, if you remember some of my videos, the moringa grew one big tall stalk, and what they say is to cut it right at the base, which I did. And now, hopefully when it gets warm, it will shoot out new shoots and be more bush-like rather than a big giant tree. So 2 moringas, and I think this is my baby moringa here that they threw in when I bought it, so maybe that will sprout up too. Not too worried about moringas. Supposedly they're pretty good hardy trees. Tropical, yeah. Now I don't know if this was my mistake here. Normally for the couple weeks of cold I would put the citrus trees in the garage to protect them. This is a little Meyer lemon and a lime. Now if you'll notice here, the leaves, of course, you know, they turn brown and yucky because they're covered. You know, I guess, you know, that's going to happen. But the question is the tree dead or alive? Maybe you've had more experience with it because, you know, I've got lots of mulch, and down here, you know, it's moist because it's sopping up moisture from the bottom. But is it dead? I don't know, folks. I might have made a mistake by trying to be too smart and say, well, you cover it with plastic and your citrus tree will be fine. But I don't know, we'll see. That might be a lesson learned. Home Depot, one of the stores, will have another little one. I may, if it doesn't turn into something, pull it out, and then remember, in the winter, put it in the garage. Now here I have some other plants. Now the Barbados cherry. Oh boy, this doesn't look so good. This is so soft, and I think this one didn't last, this little plant here. This isn't a Barbados cherry. This is a desert rose, and yeah, I think Mr. Desert Rose died because that's all mushy. They don't need a lot of water. They definitely have to be protected from the cold, but the cold got them too hard, so not good. This, it's kind of the bark here. This one may be a goner too. So we'll see on that. Now, are these gone? Ooh, this wood seems a little... These are my ghost peppers that I've had for 2 or 3 years now. What I did is I cut them back and I put them in the garage too, brought them out, and they just resprouted. Now, of course, some weeds, of course, grew here over the couple weeks of winter. But is the root system and the stalks, will it resprout? I don't know, folks. I might have, again, pushed my luck on keeping those undercover. What else have we got here? A lot of weeds. I had, like I say, there's the popcorn plant, the Barbados cherry, again, another ghost pepper plant. That bark is awfully mushy, and I don't know if it's up to the root system. Weeds, of course, grow. It's up to the root system if it made it. Some Barbados cherries that I was growing. Look at the bark here, how it kind of split off from that. That may have just died. And of course, our lovely pineapple plant. Of course, it was getting really big, and these were really green and leafy. Now, the question is the root system down here still good? Or is this just cut it back? Because I wanted to repot it into, oh, there's some ants there, fire ants, watch out, people. I'm wondering if we cut some of these leaves back, then there might be some growth and some life to them if I replant them, because maybe the roots were protected in there. But oh, them damn fire ants, you get your hand stuck in there, folks, they bite here in Texas. So I don't know. I think the lesson learned is, even though we don't get too many cold days in Texas, we've had a couple days in a row where it gets below 30, and even with the plastic that's supposed to raise the temperature, you still can't keep things out here that are really cold sensitive. So I think it's a bust on the poor pineapples. We've had them for a couple years, and we were hoping that they turned into a pineapple. They did so good. Big giant plant, no pineapple. We figured maybe this was the year, but well, Time to prune that, cut that back. The moringa I'm not worried about. The fig I'm not worried about. The ghost peppers might have bought it. The desert rose bought it. And probably my citrus. So, lesson learned, folks. And then again, you know, this is what's gardening, but one big experiment and try. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But next year, we're going to have to make sure we leave some space in the garage, which was the reason why we wanted to keep it out here, is that there's no room in the garage, let alone the cars and all the supplies and everything else you put in your garage for lining up all the plants. So, okay, well, thank you for watching my experiment here, and you know, we'll do some lessons learned for sure. But what's planned for this area now? I mean, I got the hoops there, right? So if you'll notice, the mulch and everything is underneath here. So if you've been watching, or if you've seen, or if you've heard about the Back to Eden gardening, the concept is you can plant directly into mulch. Basically, when we farm, the concept is this. Basically, when we farm, we have this bare dirt, and we till the soil, and then we plant in here. We're basically taking the covering, the natural covering off of the earth, and it dries out, it loses nutrients, there's no protection. You know, by us tilling and doing the dirt like this, it's a bad thing. The Back to Eden gardening says wood chips and leaves have the most nutrients. The trees drop and they protect the ground, they feed the plants around it. Because if you think about it, look at these trees out here and just in our park. Nobody waters trees, nobody waters the forest. If the forest gets rain, it gets rain. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So how the hell does trees and all that last? Well, it's because of the ground covering, the mulch and the wood chips and all that kind of stuff. And so if you watch the videos from the folks who do the Back to Eden, big series up there in Seattle, he lives, he basically pushes the wood chips away, plants, and he's got a miraculous garden, all without fertilizer and raking and all the crap that we do with our raised beds and everything. So again, the experiment. What am I going to do? Well, I got raised beds here because I know that kind of does work and I can manage and take care of that. But maybe back here, I've got a lot of room, and instead of, again, spending money on dirt and wood and blah blah blah, maybe I'll try some Back to Eden gardening here. I put a lot of nice mulch here, and it had a lot of nice leaves, and as it breaks down, that creates the soil and the nutrients and stuff. So I'm going to try it when I move these guys out of the way and find a better home, or, well, they turn into mulch. I'm going to plant plants there. Lots of room, lots of mulch. And let's see how they withstand the Texas sun. This area gets a lot of sun. And I think I'll keep the hoop over it because I can tie and stake things up on it too. It'll act as a something to hold on to the plants, the eggplants. I like eggplants and peppers. They get direct sun, they'll go good here. Now, how do I know the Back to Eden garden kind of works? Well, sometimes you see it in your own garden. These are my mom's white strawberries here that she planted, and I got to get them out of this container. It's just not big enough, so I'll transplant it. But what do strawberries do? They do runners. Well, the thing started to run, and look at here. This little guy has planted himself right in those wood chips, right? And he's in there pretty sturdily. So guess what? I might just leave that there as an experiment. Now, hopefully no animal or something comes and eats it, but I'm gonna leave it there, because why is it that plants that happen accidentally are always stronger than the ones that you put care for? It's almost like the strong survive, and when you baby it, they don't. I don't know, but that guy's there. I'm gonna leave him there and see and test out some of these theories. Maybe he'll grow and spread, and I'll have a whole area here of strawberries. The garlic, it's doing well, but I gotta push it in the sun now. I gotta get it over here where there's more sun. There's no sun today. So I got the hoops over here too, so when I start to plant the peppers and the things like that, I'll stake them up. I'll use kind of these metal and these hoop stakes to stake things up and give me some support. And when it gets sunny, I'll put my shade cloth instead of plastic. I'll put a little shade cloth over it and see if that can't help some of the direct sun, because you know how they always say plants need sun 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day. This is Texas, folks. You get that much sun, it all gonna burn up. So you gotta kind of listen and say, well, normal people's sun, not Texas sun, you know. So anyways, now it's getting them some air, now it's gonna breathe, now it's gonna rain, it's gonna warm up, maybe we'll see some sprouts, I don't know. Just as a side note here for anybody who watched me do the potatoes earlier, I finally put the irrigation down here and covered the mulch back up. But as I was, let's see if I can uncover it here and show y'all. As I was pushing back the mulch, I started to see the potatoes grow. Of course, now I can't find it now that I want to show you. There, right there. Okay, so remember when I planted those potatoes? Well, there's a sprout, and all underneath, the blue potatoes are coming up first. They had the biggest eyes on them. The Yukon Golds were smaller eyes. But instead of cutting them into little pieces, I put the whole potato in here. And I didn't bury it too deep, but then like the guy in the video showed, you put the mulch on. And you know what? It's coming up. So, hey, maybe this is a neat way of doing potatoes, a kind of a lazy person way, right? Just plop them in, put the mulch, let it go. So I got the irrigation here because this is the first one to go. The rain killed my bed. Yeah, I thought I had it off the roof enough, but what's happening, since there's no gutter there, we had super strong rain when I was out of town, my mom said, and when it came down, it must have come down so hard, it not only pushed the crater here, but then it flooded so much and pushed it all on the ground there. So I'm going to have to backfill that hole. This is where the sweet potatoes are going, so I'm not necessarily in a rush to get this guy up and running yet. By May, sweet potatoes are going here, and then I'll probably put something up so that the rain doesn't kill me every time. Again, lessons learned, folks. The blackberries, right? They're all starting to get little buds on the blackberries, so that's good. These are the ones I transplanted from the containers, and I didn't even know if they'd survive that. Looks like they did. The plants that I had trouble with, I kind of cut them back and still planted, and they're sprouting from the ground. Now, this bed could probably take a couple more blackberry canes. There's just too few for that area, I think. So I might go ahead and get a few more blackberry canes and put them in there. But the second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grow some raspberries in a bed just like this. Since they don't grow very deep in the spread, I'm going to get another thing like this, and I'm going to maybe put it over here, and we'll do some raspberries this year too. I like berries, grow good. They can take that heat and whatnot. So a few more blackberries to kind of spread into there. I got the irrigation here. Last year when I did the irrigation, it was the 12-inch spacing. So, you know, part of me wants to put in my new 6-inch spacing and get more water, but I think that'll be all right. And then here, of course, I didn't put it in yet. I had the individual spigots going to just those 4, but when I put more in there, I'll put the drip line. Mums, we planted some mums last year. They kind of froze and kind of got, you know, dry over the winter, but they just popped back up, so that's kind of a cool thing. I guess mums are an indestructible plant. Anyways, so I got a few more things to plant before I finish the day, and the big thing is where do I put some things, right? I got a few early peppers and tomatoes, and it's probably about a week or two too early, but since the store had them, it's like, what the hell, I'll do it. Oh, and also for the Back to Eden gardening too. I got 2 zucchini, and I was like, well, let me plant the zucchini in my beds, but you know how big zucchini plants are, and they'll take up all the space in the beds. So I figure maybe the zucchini plant I will do here in the mulch, and see if I can't do a little Back to Eden with those as an experiment. You know, zucchini plants are kind of hardy there, so I might. And here's the old blueberry, which is starting to bud too. He's got to go in a bigger container. I hadn't had much success of any blueberries. The plant survives, but no blueberries in that container. Maybe I'll move that out of the way. Maybe I'll put the 2 zucchini here in between, kind of like a little bit of a microclimate between the pomegranate tree and this other flowering tree. Maybe I'll do that, put that there. But anyways, just to kind of have the big reveal here and the big show of, you know, experiments going good and bad. So until next time, we'll talk to you again.